All right, good to go.
Nice. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Superstar, and alongside me is my partner, Shania Janger. Today, we'll be presenting Chapter 7 from our Leadership and Ethics course, focusing on teams and groups. The chapter explores how people come together to achieve common goals, how groups develop over time, and how leadership guides those processes. To begin for a moment, when you hear the word teamwork, what comes to mind? Maybe sports, work groups, or even study partners, right? Well, that just shows how teamwork is all around us. Now, let's get into how leadership plays a role in shaping groups. Leadership and teamwork go hand in hand. A strong leader doesn't just give instructions, they also build the trust, motivate others, and they ensure the group moves towards a shared goal. In leadership studies, we often say that leadership is about influence and not authority. A great leader helps individuals see themselves as a part of something bigger, which is transforming a collection of people into a unified team. For example, think about a football coach or a project manager. The coach doesn't play on the field, but their ability to inspire, strategize, and communicate determines how well the team performs. In this slide, we have a few pictures of a few famous leaders of the world. Can anybody identify anybody from the picture? Or if not, can you think of like other leaders who brings people together effectively, what they do differently? Anybody?
I believe the Nelson Mandela at the bottom right,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure, no, I see Hitler and the
Yeah.
Hitler and um Abraham Lincoln.
And well, we have Mahatma Gandhi, we have the Queen, and yeah. Thank you for your response. Okay, nice.
Um,
So, what is a group? A group is defined as three or more people who interact and communicate over time to achieve a shared goal. Leadership, as Yukel 2013 defines it, is a process of influencing others to reach common objectives. So, when we put those two together, we see that leadership gives direction and purpose of the group. For example, think about a study group. If it have no leader or a clear plan, then people may show up but no progress going to be made. But when somebody takes initiative, like assigning roles, setting timelines, you see that the group starts to function effectively. Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that's the essence of teamwork. Lack of leadership or communication or motivation are usually the experiences which actually connect to what we call dimensions that shape groups. So these are a few examples of groups we have, like your family, that's a prime example of a group, your friends, sports teams, religious or faith groups, student council, clubs or societies, volunteer groups, community service teams, and professional committees or boards. Dimensions are shape groups and leadership. Groups are structured around three main dimensions, which are the purpose, the structure, and time. The purpose. Purpose groups form for different reasons. Social support, completing a task, or ongoing service. The purpose should shape how the group is organized. For example, a study group versus a product development team. Structure. Some groups have formal leaders and clear roles. Others are fluid and leadership emerges even in formal teams. Informal leaders influence decisions. For example, senate, which is formal, versus a pickup soccer, which is informal. Time. Groups can be short term, like a task force group, which we will look at later down in these slides, or a fixed term, which is a semester, or ongoing, which is like a work team or family. Time affects trust, member motivation, and how fast the group must act. Within this slide, you'd see a table that shows the key dimensions of the group, which I spoke of just now, which would be purposes, structure, and time. And in addition to it, we have the leadership challenge. Moving on. So, according to Bruce Tuckman, groups go through 5 stages of development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. This is where we look at a short video.
Hi! In this video, you will learn how a team is developed in a business. Building a team takes time and effort. Do not expect a group of people to work together smoothly for the first time. Without proper leadership and management skills, you will not be able to build an exceptional team. Communication between members is also very important when developing a team. The following are 5 essential stages that a business goes through during team development. The first stage is the forming stage. In this stage, members are getting to know each other. They are trying to understand the roles that must be taken and the goals that are addressed to achieve. The leader at this point is working together with the colleagues, directing them to what this is all about. The second stage is the storming stage. In this stage, conflicts arise. Members are uncomfortable with their fellow colleagues. Competition for roles and leadership arises. Differences in perspectives and experiences collide with each other. At this point, the leader steps in to reduce tension. Next comes the norming stage. In this stage, members are starting to communicate together. Trust is starting to build among them. By now, everyone knows what their role is. Leaders at this point are settling communications between members, enabling the start of a stable team. Communication, understanding, and trust has been achieved between the team members. Individuals are working together efficiently to achieve their common goal. Group decision-making, collaboration, motivation, and effective development is happening here. At this point, leaders offer gratitude to their members individually and also as a team for their striving performance. The last stage is the adjourning stage. In this stage, the delegated roles have either been completed effectively or not. The goal has been achieved or not. According to the accomplishments, the team either becomes permanent or temporary. Some members are forced to go back to the early stages due to their incapability of achieving what was desired. Others remain as a stable team, taking on more responsibilities on future projects. As explained, team development goes through 5 stages that we advise to help you lead your employees to a joint effort. Achieving a hard-working, trustful, and excelling teamwork is similar to achieving a valuable gem for your business. Over the years, if taken care of, its value increases, giving prosperity to its owner.
Right. So to add to what the video said, forming in the forming stage, members meet for the first time. There's usually politeness and curiosity, but also uncertainty. People are trying to figure out the group's goals and the boundaries. For example, think about the first week of a group project. Everybody is friendly but hesitant to take charge. Storming. The storming stage is when conflicts and differences usually start to appear. Members might compete for leadership or disagree on tasks. While it can feel uncomfortable though, this stage is very necessary. It's usually where the honesty and the clarification start. Norman. In the Norman stage, the group finds the rhythm. Members start to trust each other, create rules, and usually understand their roles. The performance stage is where the group is fully productive. People collaborate smoothly, communicate effectively, and stay goal focused. And finally, adjourning. This happens when the project ends. Members review what they worked on, celebrate their achievements, and sometimes where they may feel like a sense of loss because of the bond formed. Now we look at group dynamics. Group dynamics refers to how members interact, influence, and relate to each other. Healthy group dynamics are marked by open communication, trust, and shared responsibility. There are three types of group roles. There's task roles, group building roles, and dysfunctional roles. Task roles focused are focused on completing objectives. For example, the organizer or the researcher. Group building roles focuses on maintaining relationships. For example, the encourager or the mediator. Dysfunctional roles focuses on behaviors that hinder progress, for example, the blocker or the non participant. Within this table, you'll see examples of task roles and group. So we have the information seeker, the summarizer, the clarifier. We have their role descriptions and the examples of the role in use. Within this slide, we'll see examples of group building rules. We have the gatekeeper, encourager, and mediator. These, are, however, are not limited, they are much more. We have the role description and also the examples of how the role is used. Now we look at group norms. Every group develops what we call norms. These are usually unspoken rules about behavior, and these norms guide how members communicate, make decisions, and treat one another. In one group, it may be normal to start meetings with casual chat. However, in another group, members might expect strict punctuality. We want to understand conflict. Conflict is natural and often appears during the storming stage, which we spoke about earlier. It happens when the values, goals, or roles usually clash. However, it's not always negative. In fact, constructive conflict helps the group grow. Conflict is something many of us naturally shy away from. It often makes us feel uneasy or even stressed. In groups, conflict usually becomes more visible during the storming stage where personalities, roles, and ideas start to clash. However, if it is ignored, conflict can paralyze progress and create a tense or even a hostile climate. But isn't always negative. When handled constructively, it can actually be one of the most powerful tools for growth. For example, personality conflicts may just be differences in communication or learning styles, while role conflicts often come from unclear expectations and disagreements over ideas, sometimes called controversy, are actually healthy for making stronger group decisions as long as they're managed with respect and open dialogue. This here is another example. In our project team, one member wants to focus on speed while another insists on accuracy. This could potentially lead to arguments about what they think, in their opinion, is the best approach. This table is the advantages of conflict and the liabilities of conflict. So we have the advantages of conflict being that it can increase motivation and energy, clarifies issues and positions, and can lead to innovation and creativity. While the liabilities of conflict can be deliberating, can distract from goal achievement, and can cause distortions of reality. Before we look at the different approaches of group decision making, let's start with a simple and a clear definition. Group decision making is simply the process of how a group collectively makes choices or reaches conclusions. What makes it unique is that it balances individual input, leadership, and shared responsibility. Sometimes a leader makes a call, other times the entire group is involved. But the goal isn't just to make a decision, it is to make a stronger decision, one that people are more likely to support because they were part of the process. Now, let's look at the different ways that these decisions can actually be made in practice. When we think about decision making in groups, the traditional model assumes that the leader alone makes the final decision. Sometimes it's necessary, yes. For example, when there's limited time, when the leader is representing the group elsewhere, or when the issue is too minor to involve everyone. But relational leadership asks us to think differently. Instead of asking if the group should be involved, the better question is how the group should be involved. Including members in decision making often leads to better results, higher trust, and stronger commitment. Yukel describes a continuum from autocratic decisions, where the leader decides alone, to full participation, where decisions are delegated to the group. Johnson and Johnson add more nuance with five models from decisions made by authority without decision to expert-led decisions, majority control, and ideally consensus. The key takeaway is that while not every decision requires full participation, involving others as much as possible strengthens both the process and the outcomes. A leader's guiding questions. A leader has five guiding questions. Does it support vision or mission, which is purposeful? What do the members think, which is inclusive? Does it empower involvement, which is empowering? Is it ethical? Or should I slow down to include others? Euclid's continuum identifies four styles of decision making. The first is autocratic, where the leader decides alone. This is efficient but may leave group members feeling excluded. Next is consultation, where the leader gathers opinions but still makes the final call. The approach recognizes group input but keeps authority centralized. The third style is joint decision making, where both the leader and group share responsibility for the choice. This promotes trust and ownership. Finally, delegation places the decision fully in the hands of the group, creating the highest level of empowerment and commitment, though it can take longer. Together, these styles show how decision making power can shift from the leader alone to the group as a whole. So, as a class, as a question to the class, which style would you prefer in your group? Quick decisions or full discussions? Well, there's no
Full
perfect
discussion.
method actually. Thank you. Well, there's no perfect method actually. The best leaders adapt based on the situation. These are the methods of the decision making according to Johnson and Johnson 1994. Authority without discussion, expert member decides, average members' opinions, authority after discussion, and majority control. And now, finally, for my part of groups, we look at consensus decision making. Now, consensus decision making is a collaborative approach where everyone supports the final choice, even if it's not their first preference. It values understanding and unity over majority rule. For example, imagine you and your group can decide between two presentation topics, but through discussion, you pick one and everybody agrees to support. That's usually consensus. It requires patience, respect, and trust. The goal is not to win, but to find a solution that everyone can live with. So, within the consensus decision making, there are a few guidelines. You need to define the issue clearly, focus on the similarities, allow the time for discussion, avoid shortcuts like quick votes. With consensus decision making, however, there are challenges. These are just a few to name. There's a desire for control, whether by leaders or by the members. There's conflicting viewpoints, so everybody would have different ideas and everybody's trying to combine them. Consensus is also time consuming and it also requires trust and civil conflict. Thank you. This is where I'll hand you over to my teammate Shania Jange.
Teamwork. What is teamwork? Teamwork is basically a group of different people with different jobs all working together toward the same goal. It's about having a shared identity and supporting each other so that the team strength is what truly matters, not just what one person can do. Now we speak on teamwork versus working groups. Some of the features are leadership, purpose, work product, accountability, effectiveness, and meetings. Working groups are a collection of individuals with a single appointed leader. Their focus is mainly on individual tasks that support a general company goal. Accountability is individual and meetings are short and focused. On the other hand, teams share leadership, responsibility, and focus on a specific purpose that only they can achieve. They produce shared work products, and everyone is accountable for both their own and their team's success. Their meetings are open and focused on actively solving problems together. We have an activity if anyone is willing to answer. If a group of students is working on a class project where each person only gets a grade for their own part, is that an example of a working group or a team, and why?
I would say a working group because each individual will be getting their own grades. It's not a team effort. Well, it's a team effort, but I guess it's how much ever work you put in is what you will be graded on. So I would say it's a working group.
Yes, it is working group because the accountability and work product are only individual. Setting SMART team goals. The SMART framework helps teams set effective goals. The acronym SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. S is for specific. We need to know exactly what the goal is. Measurable. We need a way to track progress and know when we've succeeded. Attainable. The goal must be realistic. Is it actually possible with the time and resources we have? Relevant. Does this goal matter? Does it support the bigger picture and the organization's mission? Time bound. We need a clear deadline so we know when the work needs to be finished. Using SMART makes sure everyone is aligned on what we are doing, how we will do it, and when it will be completed. Team learning. Team learning occurs when groups of people who need one another to act work together. The key elements are shared action. Learning happens when team members understand what they need from each other to act as one cohesive unit. Dialogue. It requires open communication where we pay attention not just to the words, but also to the tone of voice and body language to ensure a truly shared meaning. Awareness, everyone needs to be mindful of how they communicate both the content and the delivery. Ground rules, successful teams set clear rules and norms for behavior and communication so everyone knows what's expected. Team leadership. Team performance is the doing part. It's focused on getting the work done, achieving goals, getting results, and solving problems. Team development is the people part. This is where a leader builds the environment for success by building strong relationships between team members, creating a culture where every individual feels valued and respected, facilitating cohesion, which means making sure the team sticks together and works as one unit. We have another activity. You could give it thumbs up for true or thumbs down for false. A goal that says I will try to be a better student this semester is a good SMART goal. Yes, it is true. The primary role of a team leader is to achieve the required results above all else. Anybody?
I don't know if it's me. I'm getting a very delayed reaction to respond. Sorry.
Okay, so this one is actually false. And lastly, in a true team, accountability is always both individual and mutual. Yes, it is a true statement. Characteristics of team leadership. Clear elevating goal. The team must have a purpose that is both clear and inspiring, something that makes everyone want to work hard. Results driven structure. The team needs a structure that focuses directly on getting results, not just checking boxes. Competent team members. A strong team is built on members who have the necessary skills and knowledge to do the job. Unified commitment. Everyone on the team must have a shared, strong dedication to the goal. It's an all in attitude. Collaborative climate. The leader must foster an atmosphere of trust and open cooperation where people may feel comfortable working together and sharing their ideas. In summary of this chapter, groups form the foundation for communities of practice. This chapter covered the principles of group dynamics, including decision making and conflict resolution. The main point is that effective teams are developed from groups through an intentional, thoughtful approach. Thank you for listening to our presentation on teams and groups.